To the ghost, to the debt paid in blood, there was a storm. This is not a hospital. It is an altar, and the price for the birth of a king is not money. It is the soul.
Kings are not born of weakness. They are born of will.
But the goddess does not simply give. She shows. She forces us to see the truth that mortals flee from.
No! No! Not the dagger, I see it. Please.
That night, she did not give birth to a son. She forged the key to a war she did not even suspect was coming.
Chapter 1.
His first wife, who everyone thought was dead, smiled at the infant. Then she pricked her finger and let a drop of blood fall onto the baby's lips. "The debt is paid," she said. The words hang in the sterile, climate-controlled air of the Seoul penthouse, colder than the marble under Ji-hwan's designer shoes. Ji-hwan, a man whose photorealistic handsome face was a carefully constructed mask of control, feels a crack run through his composure. His world, built on logic, violence, and absolute order, has just been violated by the impossible. Minso, his ghost, stands before him, not aged a day, her beauty as serene and venomous as he remembers. Beside her, Aaliyah, the woman who carried his son for 9 months, takes a half step back, her body instinctively shielding the crib. Her expressive eyes are wide with a terror Jae-won understands, but beneath it, a feral energy pulses, the same wild power he witnessed a month ago when a rival syndicate's ambush turned into a bloodbath because of her unexplainable actions. In that sickening moment of clarity, Jae-won understands. Minso, the master strategist, isn't looking at Aaliyah, the hired surrogate. She's looking at Aaliyah, the anomaly. And she is afraid.
You thought this was a love story. A powerful man, his tragic dead wife, and the beautiful young woman who gave him an heir. You were dead wrong. This is a story about bargains written in blood and the gods who come to collect. This is a mafia tale where the deadliest ghosts don't carry guns. Before we descend into the madness, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you are going to want to see where this path leads. Now, let's get back to it.
The choice is made in a fraction of a second. Ji-won, a man of action, dismisses the ghost with a cold glare and seizes Aaliyah's arm. His grip is a manacle. He doesn't speak, just pulls her from the room, past the phantom smile of Minso, and down a long white corridor that feels like the hallway of a morgue. He leads her to the heart of his fortress, a place no woman has ever seen, his personal armory. The door hisses open, revealing a chamber of polished steel and armored glass. It is a temple to lethality, a library of the world's most efficient killing tools, all gleaming under cold LED lights. He positions her in the center of the room. Aaliyah, in her glamorous K-pop-inspired dress, with her long, vibrant purple-black braid, is a splash of life in a sterile mausoleum of death. "I saw what you are capable of." Jae-hwan's voice is dangerously quiet, a predator's whisper that cuts through the silence. Minso doesn't bluff. She targets weaknesses. Whatever you are, whatever you can do, she sees it as a threat to her claim. "I cannot protect an unknown variable in my own home." The man, looking every inch the ruthless kingpin in his immaculate Tom Ford suit, circles her slowly. He isn't her lover, her employer, or the father of her child right now. He is a warlord inspecting a new, terrifying weapon he doesn't know how to wield. "I want the truth about Legas," he commands, his intense monolith eyes pinning her in place. "Forget the bullshit report my men filed. I want what you saw. I want what you did when you gave birth to my son."
Chapter 2.
The cold steel of the armory melts away, replaced by the suffocating, wet blanket heat of Legas. The birth is a catastrophe. In a sterile private hospital room paid for by Jaehwan's billions, modern medicine is failing. The baby is trapped, and Aaliyah's life is unraveling with every failed push, every frantic cry from the machines. She feels her body, her own flesh and blood, betraying her and the precious life inside. Desperate, her mind snags on the frayed threads of her grandmother's stories, hushed tales of a priestess who lived at the edge of the city, a woman who could hear the whispers of the ocean god, Yemoja. It's a mad gamble, but it's the only one she has left. The priestess, a woman with skin like cracked river mud and eyes that held the depth of the sea, doesn't take her to a hospital. She guides Aaliyah to a secret cove, a place of black sand and jagged volcanic rock where the Atlantic roars. A simple man is born from a woman's pain, the priestess declares, her voice the rumble of distant thunder. But a king, an heir to 2 empires of steel and spirit, is born from a mother's will. The ocean will not grant a gift to a vessel. You must prove yourself a queen. A storm gathers overhead as if summoned, the sky turning a bruised, violent purple that matches the stunning braid clinging to Aaliyah's sweat-soaked skin. She walks into the raging surf, the waves clawing at her like angry spirits. The ritual begins, and the priestess calls out to Yemoja, the Great Mother, the keeper of secrets deep enough to swallow civilizations. The deal is terrifyingly simple. For the son's life, the mother must drink the salt wisdom, a deluge of knowledge from the past and future that will grant her immense power but shatter her soul forever. The priestess begins her chant, a hypnotic, ancient poem that weaves itself into the crashing waves. Yemoja, your depths we plead, plant the ocean's sacred seed. For the son, the mother bleeds, grant her sight for royal deeds. The first massive wave crashes over her, and the searing pain of the final stage of labor becomes one with the agonizing influx of visions. From the churning sea foam, a spirit manifests, a colossal serpent with 2 heads, its form shimmering and translucent. Its voice is not a sound but a feeling, a vibration that bypasses her ears and goes straight to her soul. One head sees the threat of lies, a faked death under watchful skies. The other sees the future rise, a shadow's blade, a king's demise. The visions are not gentle, they are ripped through her. The serpent's first head forces her to see a younger Minso, not dying in a fiery car crash, but coolly negotiating the terms of her disappearance with Jaehwan's most bitter enemies. She sees the faces of men who currently sit on Jaehwan's council, their loyalty a complete sham. The second head throws her into the future, showing her a glimpse of her son, older, threatened by an ornate, ancient dagger held by a figure cloaked in shadow. Each revelation is a contraction of the soul, more painful than any physical torment. She is giving birth not just to a child, but to a new version of herself, a seer forged in agony. The roar of the ocean and the shriek of the wind become a single deafening wall of sound. The first true contraction seizes Aaliyah's body, and she screams, choking on a lungful of salt water. In that instant, the spirit manifests from the boiling foam before her, the serpent with 2 heads. Its body is woven from water and moonlight, its eyes burning with a cold, internal fire. You ask for a life, child. Hisses the head of the past, its voice the grinding of glaciers deep inside her mind. Then accept the truth your king ran from. The serpent lunges, its spectral fangs sinking into her temples. The world explodes in a symphony of pain and borrowed memories. She sees a young Minso, not in Seoul, but standing on a dock in Osaka. She isn't a victim. She's a player, coolly negotiating the terms of her own faked death with Jaehwan's Yakuza rivals. Every detail of the deal, every condescending smile, is carved into Aaliyah's brain, and the agony of this betrayal is sharper than the contraction tearing her body apart. She thrashes, trying to break free, but the vision holds her in its icy grip. He is a king. The priestess roars over the storm, her voice the only anchor in the chaos. Kings are not born from weakness. They are born of fire and will. Show the goddess your will. Push. Aaliyah summons what's left of her strength. She pushes, pouring all her rage, her pain, and her despair into the single desperate act. And in that moment, the serpent's second head strikes. "You wish to save his future?" whispers the head of the future, its voice like venomous honey, promising salvation and damnation in the same breath. Then witness the price. A new vision lances through her. She sees a hand holding an ancient ritualistic dagger above her son's crib. She can't see the face, only a shifting shadow, but she feels the cold radiating from it, the absolute zero of pure evil. She sees the blade begin to descend, and an inhuman shriek rips from her own throat, the sound a mother makes when she witnesses the death of her child. That terror is the final catalyst. She gives everything, her entire life force, in one final soul-tearing push. And in that exact instant, three things happen at once. First, a bolt of lightning splits the sky, incinerating the night and turning the world a blinding, sterile white. Second, the child leaves her body, borne directly into the raging waters of the Atlantic, where the priestess catches him. Third, in the same microsecond the lightning hits the sea, Aaliyah feels an invisible, white-hot brand slam into her back, directly over her heart. The pain is so absolute it eclipses everything else. This is not a simple burn. This is magic being fused to her soul, searing the pact into her very being. For a split second, the smell of ozone and her own burning flesh overpowers the salt and the rain. Her scream is swallowed by a deafening crack of thunder. And then silence. The storm ceases. Not fades, but stops as if a switch has been flipped. The waves calm, the wind dies. A dead, unnatural stillness falls over the cove. Aaliyah, hollowed out and trembling, lies in the shallows. The priestess wades over and places the infant in her arms. Aaliyah looks down at him, waiting for the cry, the scream, any sign of life. But the baby is silent. His eyes are open, and they are not the cloudy, unfocused eyes of a newborn. They are clear, ancient, and they stare up at her with a terrifying, inhuman awareness. He isn't looking at her. He's looking through her, as if he can see the very strings of fate she just rewrote. There is no fear or love in his gaze. Only a cold, infinite knowledge. A chilling horror, worse than any vision, floods Aaliyah's veins. She won. She saved him. But looking into those silent, all-knowing eyes, she understands with absolute certainty that she has just suffered a devastating defeat. The loop around her neck has been pulled tight. She didn't just give birth to an heir. She has brought something else into this world, and she is now bound to it forever by its terrifying silence. But the innocent, hopeful girl she once was has been washed away, leaving only a queen with the cold, hard weight of prophecy in her eyes.
Chapter 3.
The humid Lagos air evaporates and the chill of the armory returns. Aaliyah's voice is raw as she finishes her story. The silence that follows is absolute. Jiwan's sharp jaw is clenched, his gaze fixed on her, relentlessly searching for the tell, the crack in the fantastic story. He finds none. He sees only a terrifying certainty, a conviction that chills him more than any lie could. "Prove it," he breathes, the words barely audible. Aaliyah's expression remains unchanged. She holds his gaze, her voice a blade. "Your head of security, Kang Min-jun. The man who took a bullet for you in Bizan. He fed Minso the security upgrades for the penthouse 2 months ago. Check the encrypted financials of the shell corporation he uses for his gambling debts. You will find a substantial deposit from a Yakuza-controlled holding company." The name hits Jae-won like a physical blow. Kang, not just a soldier, but a brother, a man whose loyalty he thought was forged in blood and fire. The calculated mask on his face shatters, revealing a storm of raw shock, then volcanic fury. And finally, something else settles in his eyes. A dark, possessive awe. This woman was no longer just the mother of his heir. She was a living weapon, a human oracle. His key to preemptive, total victory. He crosses the distance between them in 2 silent strides. His movement is fluid, dangerous. He doesn't touch her face or lips. He turns her slowly, so her back is to him, and places his hand over the spot on her dress where he knows the brand must be. His touch is electric. Through the fine fabric, the hidden scar responds, emitting a soft pearlescent light that pulses in the dim room, casting shifting patterns on the racks of guns. It's the ultimate memorable moment, a mafia king and his secret queen, bathed in the unholy light of a divine contract, surrounded by instruments of death. They are frozen, their eyes locked in the reflection of the gunmetal wall. The air is thick with a volatile cocktail of fear, anger, and a raw, primal desire for the power they see in each other. He understands the sacrifice she made for his bloodline, and that merciless devotion is the most potent aphrodisiac he has ever known. In that charged silence, a third reflection joins theirs. A shadow detaches itself from the doorframe. Jae-hwan's body tenses, ready for violence, but he turns to find only Min-so. She is leaning against the door, an image of absolute calm. She has seen everything, the intimate touch, the supernatural glow. A slow, chilling smile spreads across her lips. "How touching," she purrs, stepping fully into the room. "You went and got yourself branded by a goddess, all to save my son." She fixes her gaze on Aaliyah, her eyes shining with cruel, triumphant victory. "But tell me, Surrogate, did you read the contract's terms and conditions? Yemoja is the Great Mother. So who, exactly, do you think she answers to here?"
Chapter 4.
The trap springs shut. The words hit Aaliyah with the force of a physical blow. A logic so simple and so devastating, it steals the air from her lungs. The brand on her back isn't a source of power. It's a leash. The visions aren't a gift. They're a direct line of intelligence for the child's true mother by blood. She was a pawn, tricked into forging the very weapon that would now be used against her. For a moment, she is drowning in despair, utterly outplayed in a celestial chess match. But then, the salt wisdom, the curse she carries, surges within her. It's a poisoned chalice, but it is still hers to drink from. The visions were a trap, yes, but they were also the truth. The contract wasn't just about blood, right? It was about sacrifice. Min-so's claim was a ghost's ambition. Aaliyah's was written in the agony of childbirth, in a soul torn apart and remade. That is the truth that gives her footing. That is her leverage. She doesn't need an altar. She doesn't need a chant. The ritual is over, and the price has been paid in full by her. She just has to claim ownership. She turns, her posture shifting from victim to warrior. She meets Min-so's victorious smirk with a cold fire of her own. "You're right," Aaliyah's voice is ice. She is the mother goddess, and a true mother protects her child. She looks directly at Jae-hwan, her eyes locking with his, making him a witness, a judge. From everyone, even a family that sees him as a prize to be won, the final vision clicks into place. The shadowy figure, the ancient dagger. The threat was never about murder. It was about possession. An ancient right. Min-so didn't want the child back. She wanted to use him as a vessel. Aaliyah takes a decisive step away from Jae-hwan, creating a clear line between the two women. She is no longer the surrogate or the oracle. She is a queen defending her territory. "The debt is paid, Min-so," she states, her voice ringing with absolute authority. "But the contract for his protection was signed with my pain, and my term is eternal." Jae-hwan stands silent, his handsome face unreadable. He finally understands he is not the player controlling the pieces. He is the board on which this war is being waged. Min-so's perfect smile finally cracks. The confidence wavers. She sees the shift, the unexpected defiance, the reclamation of power she thought was hers. The flicker of fear in her eyes is swiftly replaced by something far more sinister, pure, ecstatic malice. She lets out a laugh, a high, sharp sound like ice cracking. Her voice drops into a playful, terrifying sing-song, the kind one might use for a child's nursery rhyme. "You saved the boy from the ghost's cold claim, but who will save him from his own dark flame?" The chilling words land, reframing everything. The ritual didn't just shield him. It activated something within him, a power connected to the bloodline that Minso intended to harness. The war was never against a ghost. It was for the soul of a child who is now a sleeping god, a walking weapon. And the battle has only just begun.
Who is the real monster in this story? The resurrected wife, the Mafia king, or the child they created? If you need to find out what happens when that power finally awakens, you know what to do! Obliterate that like button. Debate in the comments who you think the shadowy figure with the dagger is. Share this video with anyone who loves a story where the lines between good and evil are blurred into oblivion. This war is far from over, and you have a front row seat.